Upon receiving this news, all the region's leaders were stunned. They unanimously declared the incident had nothing to do with them. Zhang Yi couldn't be bothered to discuss it individually with each of them. He immediately called an online meeting to have everyone deliberate on the matter together. If anyone truly had issues, they'd likely slip up in front of the regional leadership. Soon, the online meeting commenced. Even Zhu Zheng, the representative from the Jiangnan region, attended. With Tianhai City under attack, he naturally needed to express his concern to Zhang Yi. Chaos, what exactly happened? Could you explain this in detail? The speaker was Meng Chuan, known as Black Tortoise, from the East Sea region. Though appearing youthful, his habit of furrowing his brow when pondering issues gave him an air of premature maturity. The others also fixed their gaze on Zhang Yi, hoping for a clear account. Zhang Yi spoke calmly. Today in Tianhai City, I discovered a mutant. He'd been in the city for at least a year. When I exposed his identity, he unleashed Black Chariot-level power. His gaze swept across everyone present. Since when did Black Chariot-level beings become so commonplace? That such a being would be dispatched to monitor me, chaos. His tone carried a hint of mockery, yet ironically, this very fact made him less suspicious of other regions. Black Chariot, that was a rank standing at the pinnacle of Huashu Kingdom's mutant hierarchy. Currently, only he and one other, Ho Tu, openly possessed Black Chariot-level power. Who would willingly waste such a crucial combat asset by stationing them in Tianhai City for a year? Sure enough, Li Changgong spoke first, his voice brimming with agitation. This is absurd. A Black Charioteer mutant? I want to know who would waste such a resource. And in the entire world, which country possesses the audacity to do something like this? He'd intended to mention that even as the Northwest King, his own power level barely reached 18,000 points, but the words died on his lips. In the Xinjiang region, the newly appointed commander Meng Yuanjun appeared as a mild-mannered middle-aged man. He smiled and added, "Indeed, no matter how you look at it, this makes no sense. Whether it's our Huashu Kingdom, Columbia, Fremons, Britannia, Gaul, or Prussia, Black Charioteer mutants are few and far between." Zhang Yi's expression grew grave as he folded his arms beneath his chin. That is the most troublesome question. If that person wasn't sent by any of you, then who could it be? For a moment, everyone fell silent. They looked at each other, a growing sense of dread taking root within them. Just how powerful must a faction be to send a Black Chariot-level mutant as an undercover operative? At that very moment, Luo Zhua, the current political and religious leader of the Southwest region, spoke up, "Lord Chaos, that Black Chariot you mentioned, is he truly human?" The words struck like thunder in everyone's mind. Is it a human? Indeed, Zhang Yi had never once mentioned that the Black Chariot-level entity was human. Luo Zhua had lived through the Demon Kingdom War, witnessing the powerful and terrifying alien entities of the underworld. Thus, he posed the question, could it be that the entity lurking in Tianhai City isn't human at all, but comes from the underground world? Zhang Yi gazed at Luo Zhua's youthful face, a faint smile slowly curving his lips. Though not yet old, Luo Zhua had matured significantly since becoming the supreme commander of the Southwest region. Zhang Yi replied, "He self-detonated before dying, not even a trace remained. But I did notice some peculiar aspects about him. For instance, he was wrapped in a layer of human skin, and beneath that skin, his structure resembled that of a lizard." Zhang Yi's gaze grew deep as he added, "Perhaps that's why he chose to self-detonate. He didn't want us to see his true identity." In the Northeast region, Luya Dao Lord, Han Shanzhua murmured with head bowed, "Existence from the underground world? Could these creatures already be invading our surface world? That would spell major trouble." Han Shanzhua's perpetually cheerful face hardened into an expression of profound gravity. Those subterranean beings are immensely powerful. If they surface, the calamity they'd unleash upon our Huashu Kingdom is unimaginable. Meng Yuanjun, however, responded calmly, "Not necessarily. According to Chaos, that individual had been lying dormant in Tianhai City for a full year. If they intended to attack our Huashu Kingdom, they would have struck long ago. He looked at Zhang Yi and asked, Chaos, if I may be so bold. If he had attacked you a year ago, what do you think the outcome would have been? Zhang Yi's lips curled. Everyone in Tianhai City would have died, including me. But he would have been reduced to ashes by the Reaper of Love. Black Tortoise propped his chin on his hand and nodded. Chaos's reasoning makes sense. It means they possess intelligence comparable to ours. Their presence in the human world is essentially for observation. But perhaps they also realized humans possess terrifying weapons like the Reaper of Love, which is why they haven't acted rashly, right? Zhang Yi shook his head. Not necessarily. I've witnessed firsthand that powerful entity beneath the Qinling Mountain capable of withstanding a low-yield Reaper of Love. Moreover, the Reaper of Love might not instantly eliminate someone with special abilities like Epsilon. So rather than fearing the Reaper of Love, it's more accurate to say they're gathering intelligence. Zhang Yi illustrated with his own example. Take me, for instance. No matter the opponent's strength, I always conduct thorough research beforehand to avoid botching the operation. Han Shanzhua remarked coldly, if that's the case, a year would be ample time for them to investigate thoroughly. Now, there's an even more terrifying possibility. Are such infiltrators confined only to Tianhai City? Could they be lurking among us? The words sent a chill down everyone's spine. If a powerful Black Chariot-level mutant lurked among them, none could sleep soundly at night. Li Changgong spoke up, not necessarily. He looked at Zhang Yi. If someone from the underground world truly emerged, the only person they'd seek out would be Chaos. After all, among us, only he has ventured into the civilizational forbidden zones where multiple underground worlds exist. Everyone nodded in agreement. After the apocalypse, other Epsilon-level mutants served as guardians of their respective regions, elite combatants cultivated through the combined strength of entire districts. Their primary duty was maintaining peace within their respective zones. Zhang Yi was different. His current power was entirely self-made. Thus, he wasn't bound by regional restrictions and could act freely. Star Island Mist Valley, the Qinling Mountain Underground, Nash Kingdom in the southwest region, Neon Edo. He'd interacted with too many civilizations from the underground realms. It was no surprise he'd been targeted. Zhang Yi propped his chin with both hands. Li Changgong's words suddenly reminded him of something. Nearly 2 years ago, he had journeyed to Star Island's Mist Valley, descending into the abyss to obtain a fragment of the source of the gods. Shortly thereafter, the Sky Dragon King, trapped within the valley, had been artificially transformed into an Epsilon-level mutant and sought vengeance against him. Though he had slain the Sky Dragon King, the dying dragon had warned him, he was marked. Sooner or later, the beings dwelling beneath the Mist Valley would emerge to find him. Marked? Could it be the mutant disguised as Ruan Ping who had been watching him? But why hadn't that entity acted against him back then? Zhang Yi pondered this endlessly, his mind in turmoil as he lowered his head in deep thought. His expression only served to confirm Li Changgong's suspicions. Li Changgong pressed, Chaos, are you hiding something from us? Zhang Yi glanced at him indifferently. Indeed, there are personal matters. Do you wish to hear them? Please, tell us. Zhang Yi didn't conceal the matter involving the Sky Dragon King in Mist Valley, recounting it as well. Li Changgong frowned. So you're suggesting that mutant came from Mist Valley? Because you went there to obtain the source of God? Zhang Yi shrugged. Who knows? I never really interacted with them. Back then, I was just going there to hunt for treasures. Meng Yuanjun, who had been listening to their conversation, lowered his head in deep thought. Suddenly, he looked up at Zhang Yi and said, perhaps that mutant hasn't made a move not because he doesn't want to, but because he can't. Can't? Zhang Yi frowned, unable to comprehend Meng Yuanjun's words. Why couldn't he? Meng Yuanjun chuckled softly. I can't explain the specifics clearly, but intelligence we've gathered suggests those powerful civilizations lurking underground seem bound by some rule preventing them from appearing in the surface world of humans. He shrugged. But this restriction appears to be gradually lifting, or its suppressing force weakening. I suspect if you hadn't uncovered that person's identity, he wouldn't have turned against you so quickly. A bolt of thunder piercing heaven and earth flashed through Zhang Yi's mind. He recalled the divine lightning that had struck down the divine nest sun god in Edo. Suddenly, everything seemed to make sense. After hearing Zhang Yi's words, Li Changgong reached this conclusion. Looks like you did something you shouldn't have when you went to Star Island's Mist Valley. You offended the underground civilization there. They've got their sights set on you now. Li Changgong's lips curled into a mocking smile. At least now we can prove this has nothing to do with us. Hey, you called everyone over. This whole bringing in the troops to demand answers act is really getting on my nerves. Zhang Yi looked up at Li Changgong. You sure talk a lot. That's just your guess, you can't prove a thing. And you seem to have forgotten one very important point. Zhang Yi said coldly, when that black chariot-level mutant came to my Tianhai city, I was able to kill him. Li Changgong's eyes narrowed. Zhang Yi was issuing a blatant warning. Things were different now. Back then, Li Changgong still possessed the strength to match Zhang Yi. But now, his ability index stood at a mere 18,000 points, while Zhang Yi had soared to 25,000. They were no longer on the same level. Li Changgong's sword-like eyebrows shot upward. That's just home field advantage. If you dare set foot in my northwest region, I'll make you suffer. Meng Yuanjun immediately stepped in to mediate. Enough. Both of you, hold your tongues. We face external threats now. We should unite against them, not create internal strife. Li Changgong snorted coldly, and Zhang Yi couldn't be bothered to respond. Ever since that battle at Xinjiang, the arrogant Li Changgong had been fixated on redeeming himself. He hadn't yet touched Zhang Yi's sore spot, so Zhang Yi saw no reason to engage. But if he ever truly provoked Zhang Yi, well, he'd soon learn just how terrifying the consequences could be. Meng Yuanjun addressed the group. The matter Chaos mentioned is likely the reason that Black Chariot class entity appeared. We absolutely cannot let our guard down. We must strengthen our vigilance. He looked at Zhang Yi. Chaos, if there's anything you need help with, just say the word. We're on the same side. We'll do everything we can to assist. Zhang Yi sneered inwardly. He recognized the situation as mere lip service. At this point, everyone had essentially concluded that the attack stemmed entirely from Zhang Yi provoking entities beneath Star Island's Mist Valley, bearing no relation to other major regions of Huashu Kingdom. Therefore, resolving this matter would fall squarely on Zhang Yi's shoulders. Unless it threatened their own region, they would never intervene proactively. Of course, if Zhang Yi truly faced trouble and was willing to lower his head to ask for help, promising certain benefits in return, they would come to assist out of shared interests. The 6 major regions at this moment resembled brothers who had just divided their family inheritance. Internal conflicts and rivalries existed among them, but when faced with an external invasion, they understood the principle of mutual dependence. They wouldn't stand idly by. I understand. Zhang Yi stated calmly, informing you of this matter wasn't meant as suspicion. It's merely a warning, be vigilant for similar situations arising on my end. However, Zhang Yi paused, his gaze sweeping over the group with a hint of warning, you'd be wise not to assume this incident concerns only me, Zhang Yi. Heightened vigilance is advisable. Meng Yuanjun nodded. Of course. Li Changgong proudly crossed his arms, his commander's uniform gleaming. Under my command, the Northwest region has been forged as solid as iron. Anyone daring to trespass will never return alive. If you say so. Zhang Yi didn't even bother to glance at him. All right, if there are no further questions, let's conclude this meeting. Zhang Yi declared. The others nodded in agreement. We'll discuss any future situations as they arise. Then we'll adjourn for today. Representatives from each region logged off one by one, leaving only Zhu Jing still in the meeting. He hadn't uttered a word during the meeting. Zhang Yi had summoned him out of courtesy. When it came to actual decision-making, he held no authority. Zhang Yi remained the ultimate authority. Only after everyone else had departed did he speak up. Zhang Yi, if Tianhai City needs any assistance now, just tell me. Blizzard City will spare no effort to support you. Zhang Yi looked at Zhu Zheng's genuinely concerned expression and smiled. Thank you for your kindness. But I don't need you to worry about me. After a moment's thought, he said to Zhu Zheng, for the time being, strengthen Blizzard City's defenses. While they're most likely targeting me, we must avoid collateral damage to your city. Zhu Zheng replied, Zhang Yi, there's no need for such formalities. Without you, the Jiangnan region would be like a house without its pillars. Everything will always prioritize your needs. Zhang Yi nodded and smiled. Then I'm truly grateful. I'll contact you if anything arises. Only then did Zhu Zheng log off. After everyone had logged off, Yang Xinxin, who had been standing behind Zhang Yi, walked over and sat down beside him. Looks like it might not be related to them after all. Yang Xinxin turned to stare at Zhang Yi. Could it really be the Star Island Mist Valley? Zhang Yi countered, if it's not them, then who else could it be? Yang Xinxin replied, it's unlikely to be from the human realm. Even the usually resourceful Yang Xinxin fell silent. Faced with an unknown and powerful underground civilization, and the possibility of an insurmountable power gap, she struggled to envision how they could possibly respond. At this moment, she almost wished this had been the work of some superpower within the human race. Zhang Yi rubbed his temples, then flashed Yang Xinxin a bright smile. No need for such pessimism. I've fought the Hades gatekeeper before. Reflecting now, his power was truly terrifying, far beyond 30,000. But I'm not the same Zhang Yi I was back then. With the resources of the entire Tianhai City behind us, we might just be able to withstand any impending crisis. If all else fails. A ruthless glint flashed in Zhang Yi's eyes. We still have the Reaper of Love. Yang Xinxin reminded Zhang Yi, to this day, the launch authorization for the Reaper of Love remains in Zhu Zheng's hands. She leaned tenderly close to Zhang Yi's ear, her warm breath like a sweet whisper from a little devil. Should we take it? Zhang Yi smiled faintly. No need. If I truly did that, the other regions wouldn't stand idly by. After all, the Reaper of Love is extremely dangerous, and I'm just a lone wolf. From the Qin Qigong incident alone, it's clear many harbor doubts about me. Besides, that thing might not even be as effective in Tianhai City as Karen's heavenly dimensional weapon. Zhang Yi's mind remained filled with worry. It wasn't because he understood the power of Star Island's Mist Valley, quite the opposite. It was precisely because he had no clear grasp of just how formidable that force truly was. He was an extremely cautious man. In this situation, he could only prepare for the worst-case scenario. Therefore, immediately after concluding the meeting, he summoned everyone within the shelter. He then assigned them a series of tasks. One day in the future, Tianhai City may face a terrifying attack. We don't know when that day will come, it could be a year from now, or it could be tomorrow. So starting today, no one can afford to slack off. We must do everything in our power to prepare thoroughly for any possible assault. As Zhang Yi spoke these words, his gaze fixed on Fatty Su. The latter was clutching his game console, intending to find a corner of the sofa and play games with Li Yang as he usually did during meetings. Especially you, Fatty Su. Snap out of it and don't let us down. Under Zhang Yi's fierce glare, Fatty Su opened his mouth, then quickly put down his console. Don't worry, boss. I know what's important. Whatever you tell me to do, I'll do it right. Zhang Yi nodded. That's the spirit. That's the right attitude. Zhang Yi summoned Liu Karen. Our top priority now is developing the heavenly dimensional weapons. The Tianhai City cannon already possesses formidable destructive power, a full power strike rivals that of a Black Chariot-level mutant. Though it suffers from mobility issues and long recharge times, it's highly effective for supporting my surprise attacks. However, I need a more powerful weapon system. Ideally, a city defense system that can be integrated with my operations. Additionally, we must enhance the utilization of Barrier Stone. Its suppression effect against supernatural abilities is exceptional. Zhang Yi paused, gazing at Lu Karen as if she were a precious treasure, and in today's world, you alone possess the ability to replicate Barrier Stone. This will become our ultimate trump card. Barrier Stone originates from Nash Kingdom, and no one knows how it's manufactured. When they entered Nash Kingdom, a few factions took fragments of the Barrier Stone. But by the time they succeeded in researching and producing similar materials, it would be ages. Only Lu Karen could use her divine machinist ability to directly analyze the Barrier Stone's material composition and replicate it using existing raw materials. Lu Karen nodded firmly. Brother, I'll accelerate Barrier Stone production and work tirelessly to develop even more powerful weapon systems. To protect all of Tianhai City. And my brother, she silently vowed. Even if I have to work non-stop, I'll get this done. Lu Karen looked at Zhou Qir. Sister Zhou, I need your help with this. Zhou Qir's ability could indeed stimulate Lu Karen's cellular activity, allowing her to endure prolonged periods without sleep. Zhou Qir furrowed her brow slightly. Karen, physical fatigue can be alleviated. But mental exhaustion? That's another story. Lu Karen flashed a dazzling smile, revealing a row of pearly white teeth. Don't worry, I've always been able to handle it. She gave a thumbs up, her confident smile showing everyone her determination. Zhang Yi had initially felt reluctant to make this young woman in her early 20s work so hard. But now, an unknown crisis could strike at any moment. No one could afford to slack off. Otherwise, Tianhai City would face utter destruction. Zhang Yi continued assigning tasks. Everyone else, cooperate fully and do your utmost to build the Tianhai barrier as quickly as possible. But while we strive, there's no need for excessive worry. The worst-case scenario is me leading you all out of Tianhai City. Zhang Yi, whose ability index now soared to 25,000 points, was firmly entrenched in Tianhai City, his stronghold. If he truly resolved to flee, no one could restrain him unless they were a high-tier space ability psychic or possessed strength vastly surpassing his own. At the very least, based on Zhang Yi's impression of the Hades Gatekeeper, while that being possessed formidable power, its ability to chase down targets might not be as strong. If push came to shove, Zhang Yi had a rather underhanded escape tactic up his sleeve. That was to forcibly seize control of the Reaper of Love and drag the entire Huashu Kingdom's 6 major regions down with him. Though this approach was morally questionable, when backed into a corner, such considerations became irrelevant. In the days that followed, everyone became engrossed in their tasks. Zhang Yi utilized Tianhai City's satellite privileges to designate a 500-kilometer radius around the city as a priority surveillance zone. Every flicker of movement was sure to be detected by his network. Then came the full-scale, round-the-clock infrastructure projects. But for the period that followed, Tianhai City remained calm and still, with nothing happening. A month passed quickly, with Zhang Yi living each day in a state of constant tension. This forced him to call Zhou Qir every night to give him a full-body muscle massage, helping him relax both mind and body. Residents of other regions paid little attention to the matter. After all, everything reported during this period was only from Zhang Yi's own account. Perhaps the so-called invasion by the mysterious civilization of Star Island Mist Valley was merely Zhang Yi's personal delusion. In the eyes of others, Zhang Yi had always been the type to blow even the smallest incident out of proportion. Even if something truly happened, Tianhai City would bear the brunt of it first. They had little reason to worry. Thousands of kilometers southeast of Huashu Kingdom, in the open sea. For 2 years now, this area had been shrouded in thick mist. Within its bounds, no living creature dared venture near. Nearshore fish stocks had long since perished. Centered on Star Island, a 500-kilometer radius exclusion zone had formed. Viewed from space, it appeared as a perfectly circular area. Since the battle at Star Island, warships from the East Sea region and the Columbus Ocean Fleet had patrolled its perimeter daily. To them, it was both a mysterious exclusion zone and a vast treasure trove. Awe and greed have driven them relentlessly to unravel the mysteries of Star Island's Mist Valley and claim its riches. The view plunges from the sky, swiftly traversing a colossal abyss in tens of thousands of meters of rock and soil layers. Yet, continuing downward, the scene suddenly opens up. This was a vast and expansive world. Above the rock walls stretched a dome spanning immense space. The dome's surface was covered in deep blue and purple ores, shrouded in clouds of mist as smooth as silk. Within these mists, the dark ores shimmered with light, twinkling like stars across a galaxy. The sky was a sea of dying stars. Beneath the dome, atop a sheer cliff face rising thousands of feet, sat a strange figure clad entirely in black armor, its long tail swaying silently. It lifted its head, gazing up at the vaulted sky, and suddenly let out a deafening roar. Late at night. Around Mist Valley, warships from Columbia and the East Sea region were conducting routine patrols. On board the Columbia warship, the cold outside was bone-chilling, while the interior remained comfortably warm. These routine patrols had been ongoing for 2 years. Aside from the last uprising in Mist Valley, the area had remained largely calm and peaceful. By the mid-21st century, warships had reached a remarkably advanced stage of development. This was especially true for Columbia, home to the world's most formidable navy. In the control room, the duty first mate and helmsman dared not relax for a moment. They had to follow the predetermined patrol route around the dense fog zone. This process carried inherent risks. Among them was the possibility of colliding with warships from the East Sea region. Seated in his chair, the first mate's steely gaze resembled that of a bald eagle as he ordered his crew, "Stay alert. No slacking off. In this cursed hellhole, accidents can strike at any moment." "Sir, are you referring to the recent attack?" an officer inquired. He spoke of the assault on Mist Valley orchestrated by Deng Shintong. That very assault had prompted both the Columbus Ocean Fleet and the East Sea region to deploy substantial forces, encircling the entire Star Island. It was only later that they uncovered the truth. The attack hadn't originated from Star Island itself, but was a covert operation by some unknown force. The first mate pressed down his cap brim and said coldly, "This world has changed. Danger lurks everywhere. Even in the deep seas we once ruled, there are forces we can't afford to provoke." Suddenly, a bright red light flashed across the massive display, and a piercing alarm blared. "Warning! Warning!" The first mate's expression instantly tightened, and all smiles vanished from the crew's faces. "What's happening?" The first mate rushed over. The crew members stared at the screen, quickly zooming in. "It seems to be detecting an anomalous flying object." "Stand by." The first mate's facial muscles twitched. Without hesitation, he ordered, "Dispatch drones for investigation immediately." Just then, a deafening roar erupted from outside. Boom! In the ink-black night, a thunderclap split the sky like a sharp blade, illuminating the darkness. In that fleeting light, a group of figures burst out of the bottomless abyss of Star Island's Mist Valley. The lightning's glow reflected off their heavily metallic armor, revealing their massive frames. They were humanoid creatures, each encased in thick armor and sporting thick tails protruding from their backs. Leading the charge into the sky were 5 humanoid beings clad in silver armor. Had Zhang Yi witnessed them here, they would have seemed eerily familiar. Their appearance mirrored the Hades gatekeepers he had encountered long ago. Following the silver armor figures, another group emerged behind them, clad in black and white armor. Behind them, yet another dense swarm of their kind, green armor warriors, ascended in strict hierarchical formation. They surged forth from beneath Star Island's Mist Valley, rising to stand in the sky, forming orderly military formations. They were clearly a powerful and highly disciplined army. The warship immediately dispatched over a dozen drones, sending them deep into the thick fog to get a clear look at their appearance. Within the formation, a black and white armor warrior glanced this way. Suddenly raising its right hand, it unleashed an invisible shockwave that swept across the area, instantly shattering all the drones. This scene was already relayed to the warship via the drones. The first mate was completely numb. "What the hell are those things? Report to headquarters immediately." A Level 1 alert sounded across the warship as its main guns slowly rose, locking onto Star Island. Among the 5 silver armor figures, the leader gave a sharp, decisive wave. Instantly, a black and white commander, accompanied by dozens of green armor warrior, swiftly streaked toward the warship. The warship's main guns had just risen, poised to intimidate those bizarre creatures. But the black and white armor warrior, seemingly a troop commander, drew an extremely peculiar weapon from its back and slashed a blow through the air. Silent and formless, the warship was cleanly sliced in two while still 5 or 6 kilometers away. This warship, built at a cost of over 10 billion credits by Columbia, crumbled like tofu before the black and white armor warrior.